my background that I talk about in the book was being abandoned at 6 and being a foster kid and going through abuse and multiple parents and a broken home. And then, you know, at 8 years old, I get adopted, and I tell myself that I want to be two things in life. I want to be G.I. Joe and president of something. Now, I mean, who thinks of that at 8 years old? But
That's so
that was in my
wonderful.
mindset. That was in my mindset. And I always felt like people were holding me back. You know, I mean, I was one of those kids that wanted to grow up so fast. I wanted to be able to take charge of my life. I felt like I really, you know, I was being developed, and don't get me wrong, I was treated well in, you know, my adopted home. But at 15, I left home and basically ran away. I worked multiple jobs. I still attended school, and I rented a room. And then I came back home when I was 17 to get my parents to sign me up for the Marine Corps. And from there, I just told myself that I'm going to go find my way. So thinking about that, when as a CEO over the years, as I was writing what was going to be more of a memoir to my family, it was actually, it was another veteran who read my book and said, "Sean, you got to publish this." And I'm like, "Come on." They're like, no. We need to get you an editor. We need to get you somebody to help you out with this. I mean, you know, you write like you talk, which is great. You know, so I wrote the book, but I, you know, obviously I had an editor and stuff, but I think what it addressed at my time, I was seeing really high unemployment coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan wars. I participated at the time with the Wounded Warrior Project, and one of the veterans came in. It was, I'll never forget, it was a Lance Corporal. His whole convoy was blown up. He was lost. You know, he couldn't barely make the, you know, rent. Just everything in his life was going wrong. And I remember sitting down in my office and, you know, just talking to him, you know, Marine to Marine. And, you know, his story, as heart-wrenching as it was, you know, they didn't have the money to go ahead and buy the construction, you know, equipment he needed. So, you know, of course, first thing I did is I advanced him, you know, a couple paychecks and got him on board. And I gave him a Vietnam veteran that was in my company as a mentor to work with every day. And this guy was with the was 7th Cav in Vietnam. He was, you know, he was in some serious stuff. And so what I did is I paired him up, you know, with a veteran who had been there, and he did really well. Ended up getting a job at the Pentagon full time, and leaving us. And he never had to pay back $1 on that loan. So my heart was happy. I got to see this guy succeed, and you know, and that's so. Starting a CEO is kind of me talking to all the veterans out there, all the foster kids out there, all the adopted kids, all the people that have felt lost, to say, hey, you know, look, this high school diploma Marine sergeant, you know, can get out, start at the bottom, shoveling ditches, and learn every trade above him, and then end up leading a multi-million-dollar company. And doing $1,600 on his back porch with a wife going, "You better make it."
And people, you need to read Sean Jensen's book. I'm serious. You've heard me say this before. I believe that Sergeant to CEO might even be worthy for the Commandant's reading list. And I'm serious. There's a whole lot of courage, strength, and hope in this. This is something to where Sean Jensen takes the time to lay out what took place in his life, and does so from a genuine, vulnerable standpoint. And what I love about it, as we're progressing through, because we're talking about how you execute with Polu Kai, but this is Sean Jensen, Sergeant to CEO, author, potentially going through, dare I say it, some of those tumultuous times where things got a little shaky down the business trail, didn't it? I mean, there were some losses in the past, and you rebounded out of that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you put it in those pages.
Yeah. So, you know, yeah, it is a very up and down business. You know, entrepreneurs, you are probably have to be, well, you have to be a resilient person really to be an entrepreneur, and you have to be dead set on getting to your end goal or mission. You got to have. So when I started Sergeant CEO, or I started Polu Kai, I laid out a plan. I wrote a small business plan. I'd never written a small business plan in my life, but I wrote one. And I said, here is what I'm going to do. I'm going to sell my individual services at first. So I took my technical skills and I, sold that part of it. And then I basically just, sketched out a plan. Here's the situation. Here's where I want to go. How am I going to get there from point A to point B? And so you need a plan. You need to write a plan. You have to do it. I mean, I'm a firm believer in that, because if you're not thinking over the horizon, then you shouldn't be in this, because being an entrepreneur and being successful is not just day to day. It's committing to getting to that destination and then having a plan after you get to that destination to move to the next level.